Support for this podcast and the following message come from Gaia.com, the on-demand streaming TV service that helps you achieve your highest potential at your convenience. To get your first month at only 99 cents, visit gaia.com/my7chakras. My 7 Chakras, episode 214.
If you always put limits on everything you do, whether it be physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus, and you must not stay there. You must go beyond them.
The 7 chakras, swirling vortices of energy, positioned throughout our body from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. For thousands of years, this ancient wisdom has been passed on from master to disciple. What are the functions of these energy centers? And could these chakras help you unlock your destiny and find your true purpose? Welcome to My 7 Chakras. And now, your host, Aditya Jai Kumar.
What's up, Action Tribe? AJ here, founder and host of My 7 Chakras, the show where we dive deep into the ancient world to uncover nuggets of wisdom that will help you find your life's purpose. So if you have some burning questions about life and if you're looking for a sense of direction, then hold on, because you are listening to the right show. And before we jump straight to the interview, I have one small request from you. Till date, we've completed over 212 episodes. We've covered a wide range of topics, and our guests have shared literally hundreds of empowering and uplifting stories and strategies. I love the iTunes reviews and the emails that I receive from Action Tribe every day. It strengthens my determination to grow this movement. My question to you is this: has this show helped you in your journey? Did you take action based on a particular episode that impacted your life? Did a story or maybe a tip really resonate with you that changed your outlook on life? Whatever it is, I'm really interested in hearing about your story. So especially if we've never connected before, send me an email at aj@my7chakras.com. That's a super simple email address, aj@my7, the word 7, my7chakras.com, and tell me your story. I love hearing from each and every one of you, and we can connect. And with that, let's bring on our featured guest for today, who is Rino Soriano. So Rino, are you ready to inspire?
I'm ready to inspire. Let's get it rolling.
Great. So Rino is creator and founder of Life Brilliance Radio and Life Brilliance Immersion Retreats. He is a high vibe consciousness luminary and a spiritual mentor for your most victorious life. Rino assists people to crush their life problems easily and quickly using his luminous consciousness practices. He also teaches people how to create radiant health using his fun food, fantastic recipes, and his secret holistic elixirs and remedies. Rino's mission is to show people how they can create delicious and a victorious life. So Rino, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me on, AJ. I appreciate it. I'm doing fantastic, and looking forward to providing some juicy nuggets to your audience.
That's awesome. So Rino, as we always do, let's begin our show with an inspirational quote, an inspirational and uplifting quote. So my question to you is, what quote inspires you the most, and how does that quote apply to your day-to-day life?
Okay, well, this is a quote by Bruce Lee, and he states, "If you always put limits on everything you do, whether it be physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus, and you must not stay there. You must go beyond them." And so that, to me, summarizes usually what I see in life is it's very easy to hit plateaus or hit stagnant points in life. And I think just in personal experience, sometimes I think we need a little support. We need somebody or some person or some group to reflect back to me where I'm at in consciousness and where I'm at in my life. And we're all at a different level of consciousness. We're all living, unique lives. But for me, I think it's very easy in this life because we're so busy, zipping here and there and trying to survive that sometimes we just hit stagnant points. And so for me, this kind of just gives me inspiration to kind of keep going when I feel a little down, or maybe seek some guidance, or just reach out to someone who can kind of just reflect back to me where I'm at, and just to keep going. Yeah.
Wonderful. So thanks a lot for sharing that quote. Action Tribe, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you see a limit in one aspect of your life, that will spread into your work and to your life as well. You need to remember that there are no plateaus. I mean, there are plateaus, but no limits, because once you hit a plateau, what you need to do is reach out to a person, read a book, find a course, or whatever it is, take some action to find the solution to the reason why you're at that plateau, and that will help you transcend into the next level so that you move on to the next plateau and then take action. So thanks a lot for sharing that amazing quote by Bruce Lee, Rino. And with that, let's dive in. My question to you is, what is your definition of life force?
Well, life force, I believe, it's pretty much our essence. It's our true nature. It's our true being. I mean, what we are is life force. And my question to people is, how do you show up with your life force? Because that will determine what you're attracting and manifesting in your life. So that's one of the principles I teach is, how are you showing up in life? Because that's the feedback that you're going to get from the universe. So if your life is not flowing, if your life does not feel good, if your life is a struggle, well, how is your vibration? How are you carrying yourself in energy and life force? And life force is the holy grail. It means everything, and you need life force to manifest. And most people, what I see a lot of people doing, the physical effort. They're trying to manifest. They're trying to do laws of attraction and, affirmations, meditations. But for me, what I teach is mainly focus on your body. Your body is the sacred and secret gateway to manifestation. So if you're not well in health, if you have low life force, if you have low vibe, if you're not eating healthy, if you're not taking care of your physical vehicle, it's going to impact your manifestation. So for me, I always tell people, focus 95% of your energy on getting a radiant body, creating radiant health, feeling awesome, because that will translate into you feeling better emotionally, mentally, which then allows you to blip out a much more powerful field to the universe, and then it translates back. So for me, I see people kind of wasting a lot of time, money, and energy on just focusing on visualizations and meditations. But I'm here to say you can flip that and start focusing in on your body and coming back toward yourself, because that's where the holy grail is. And we're talking about life force. It is the greatest asset you have for living life, for manifesting, and for impacting others. I know for sure that you can literally change the vibration of a room when you walk into it with how you show up in that room. Because I do it every day. I go to the health food store. I show up in seminars. But when I show up, people take notice. And it's not that I'm doing anything extravagant. I'm just showing up in my full glory. So that's my main message is, can we please show up in our full glory? Because this planet needs our help right now. This planet is on the verge of literally, as a humanity, we're on the verge of extinction. And I don't know if, how, what other people are teaching, but I'm here to say is the time has arrived. We are at that brink point. We need to make a big choice as a collective to expand and to leave a legacy, because right now we're not doing too good. So for me is, how do you show up with your life force? How do you show up with your energy? Because that will impact your entire life.
Absolutely. So Action Tribe, our life force is our essence. It's our vibration. It is that energy that helps us create and manifest. And I think it's a really valid point, Rino. If we're focusing a lot on the mental aspects of manifestation, or using affirmations, or maybe even journaling to tap into our subconscious mind, or maybe if we're embarking on energetic practices, if you're missing out on the physical component, the vessel that we are in, our physical bodies that help us thrive in this physical plane, if we forget about that vital aspect, then we won't really be able to do well using our mind or maybe our spirit and energy as well. So I think it's a really, really valid point. Thanks a lot for sharing. Now, in one of your articles, you've written that many people are doing things that lower their life force. So what are some of these things that people are doing that lowers the life force?
Well, what I see in society is most people, the second they get up, they're doing things that lower their life force. Then the number one main thing that people do is they get up and they ingest coffee. Coffee is one of the most depleting, degenerative compounds you can have, and it lowers your life force, because what it is you're ingesting crystallized sugar. Sugar, even though people think they get a boost of energy, it's not true energy. That energy is actually a stimulation of your nervous system and brain chemistry. It's an artificial stimulation, so it's not pure energy. So for me, I look at people and I just make observation. I'm not here to judge, but most people, the second they get up, they drink their coffee, and then they go to work and they have lunch and they have things that are not healthy. They go to the store or they go to the local cafe or whatever, but they're ordering fried foods and a lot of sugar, a lot of starches. And so basically the way people go about their lives, they're doing a lot of things that deplete them. Then if they're in a relationship, most relationships, at least in the West part of the world, they seem to be, not too uplifting. They're more stifling. It becomes the, commonplace. And so I think that if people could just pause and kind of redo their life a little bit and start putting other priorities. And like I always recommend, put health first. And so every option that you have to put in your body, what are you using a higher consciousness with that? Because most people, they don't have the time, or they're not realizing what they're doing. So for me is, you have so much energy allocated for each day. So you're either uplifting yourself or you're pulling yourself down. Most people are pulling themselves down because they're going to a job that does not fulfill their heart. They're in a relationship that does not make them happy. They're in a career, they're in a living in a location that really doesn't make their heart sing. So for me is, we need to restructure our lives so it's so juicy and delicious. So when you get up in the morning, you're on fire. You're activated. Your life force is activated. Everything you put in your body is uplifting you. You're working a career that uplifts you. You're living in a home that totally pleases you. So it's all about life force, but something is either uplifting your frequency or it's pulling it down. And the way I see most people structuring their lives, it's pulling them down, and they don't realize that it's the decisions they're making and how they have their lives structured. So for me is, let's use a higher consciousness. I call it luminous consciousness. It's kind of like turning on the flashlight and illuminating things and say, hey, let me clean out my life a little bit. Let me make better choices. Let me choose more wisely, and let me restructure my life so it actually feels good on all levels, not just one aspect of your life, but all levels. Because otherwise, kind of like the quote I said earlier, if one area of your life is off, then the rest of your life is going to suffer. It's like kind of like you driving your car and you have one wheel that's flat. Well, if you have a flat tire, it's going to mess up your driving. You're not going to be able to get to where you want to go. So for me is, let's use a higher consciousness. Let's create a life that's balanced and integrated, but that makes us feel good at all times.
Absolutely. So what I get from what you're saying is that we all are in some form of a habit or that we do daily. So it's like a daily routine. We wake up in the morning, we might have some coffee. Coffee is usually accompanied by sugar. Sugar, like you said, is an artificial stimulation. It's not good for you. It causes a rise, but then there's a crash involved as well. And then we go to the cafe or maybe a shop later on, have some fried food, fried fries and whatnot, donuts, food with a lot of starches, which aren't serving your body. And the third point that you mentioned is relationships. Relationships are some that serve you, some that uplift you, some that help you grow. But there are some relationships that are toxic relationships. So not just food, but relationships can be toxic as well. Now, my question to you, really before we move on, is on coffee. Now, coffee has two components, right? You have coffee as well as you have the sugar. So what if you take away the sugar? Would you still recommend coffee?
I have a recipe called Coffee for the Soul. So I know it's hard for people to come off of coffee. So what I teach people is you balance it out. So yeah, you remove the crystallized sugar. And so what I recommend to people is use something like raw honey or a natural sweetener that will sweeten you can still have your sugar. You're just going to have it in a different form. Crystallized sugar breaks down the body. It's catabolic. It weakens your immune system. So for me, let's use a natural compound. And so if you do raw honey, it's very sweet, but it's more balanced. It has minerals and electrolytes, and it has some healthier antioxidants. So it's a little bit more nutrient to the body, and the reply of your body is going to be different than the crystallized sugar. So for me, if you're going to go with coffee route, you can have it. So use a natural sweetener, and then also to balance it out, I also put herbal compounds in my coffee. So I mix half coffee with half chicory root coffee. I don't know if you have heard about it in your part of the world, but it's called chicory root granules. It's like it looks just like coffee, and what it does is it balances out the tannins that are in coffee. Because when you cook coffee out, it becomes kind of acidic, and it's due to the tannins that are produced. So for me, I balance that tannin effect with the chicory root, which is a wild herb and is very alkaline. And so therefore I go there, and then I will include something like goat milk or some type of milk. It can even be unsweetened coconut milk, but I make it very delicious. It still comes out very yummy. It's just using creativity and also learning how to balance the coffee. So for me, it's, let's go to more natural forms of sweeteners, and let's use the chicory root. You can also use other tincture. There's other herbal tinctures you can add to coffee to balance out the tannins and to make it a little more healthy. Yeah.
Love that. And these days, just to share, I am, using honey along with almond milk in my coffee. And, I want to avoid sugar at all costs, as well as milk. So that's what I'm trying to get away from, dairy products. But we can talk about that. But, I have coffee with almond milk and honey, and it's definitely, it tastes good. And the other thing you've read that you mentioned, you talk about packaged bottled water. You say that when you have packaged bottled water, it has no life force in it and doesn't provide us the energy required to sustain our body. Is that correct?
Yes. Most water that you're going to purchase at a store, it's bioelectrically dead. There's no life force energy in it. And so one of the greatest ways to increase your energy levels, which is a super secret that most people are unaware of, is drinking structured water. Now, most places on this planet, I mean, we have a polluted world or a polluted planet, so you can't just run down to the stream and dip your cup in, because that's the way it used to be. And that water that's flowing over rocks and oscillating and swirling, that's loaded with ions and life force energy. That's one of the easiest way to energize our bodies. And water has multiple dimensional components to it. It's not one thing that, it's just to hydrate your body. It actually has spiritual implications. It actually activates your brain. Your brain uses the most amount of nutrients and hydration during the day. Your brain is like a battery. It has two hemispheres, but it needs the water for electrostatic balance. You need hydration of water to provide the thrust, so your brain can perform the billions of biochemical processes every second or every minute. So for me, if you want to go higher in health, you need to start with the basics. And water is your driving mechanism that makes everything else function. It makes your hormones healthier. It makes your hair and skin better. It drives your libido. It drives your metabolism. So you need to start with water, but it needs to be structured. It needs to be activated. It needs to have life force, because if you have a depleted water like plastic bottled water, it's basically going to actually be more depletive. So if you drink plastic bottled water, it's depleting on your system, but it also has plastic residues which clog all your channels. Clogs your detox channels, clogs your arteries, or clogs your liver and gallbladder, and those plastic particulates over time accumulate, and they can disrupt your hormone regulation. They can disrupt pretty much any physiological process in your body. So for me, it's like we got to stop inputting not only dead water, but water that's contaminated with plastics, because it's going to clog also your brain. And so that's what I see a lot of people is they really can't connect. And I'm looking at them and I'm feeling their vibe. And I'm like, yeah, because you are so congested with toxins right now. If you could clean that out, you would have a new lease on life. And I've done that with some people. I've literally have had them shift within 10 minutes of putting them on a specialized supplement that was detoxifying but also nutritive, and their brain, they immediately said, oh my God, I can think clear and my mind and brain is clear. I'm like, of course, because now you're giving your brain what it needs to perform its billions of biochemical processes. So for me, we live in a toxic society. We need to start cleaning it up. But let's go back to the basics and let's keep it cost effectively, because I see too many people spending way too much money on supplements. And most supplements are not healthy as claimed. They're just a mishmash of ingredients, but they're physically dead as well. There's no life force. We have to go to the life force. That's where the power is. That's where the holy grail is. And in Asian herbology, they always try to retain the life force of the plant or herb that they're taking, because the second you cut something, the life force energy starts dissipating. You start losing it. And in this country, especially in the West here, it's just mashing things together. We got to use a higher consciousness. So if we're going to make supplements, we need to retain the life force. You take a product that has life force, you're going to feel it immediately. You're not going to have to think about it. So that's where what I do with my clients is, let's go back to basics. Let's start with structured water, and let's give your body the experience of pure nutrients. And then I've seen miracles happen to people, because now the brain and their body is receiving what it requires, and it can do its thing. And not only does it happen quickly, but life changes happen easily, because now they feel better mentally, emotionally. They're clearer in mind. They can make better they can make better choices, but they just have a better vibe overall. And then all of a sudden, other areas of their life starts improving. So for me, it's all connected. Mind, body, spirit. It is connected. And if you want to expand the easiest, focus on your health, because that's the easiest one to increase your vibe. It's the easiest one to increase your mental, emotional well-being, but it also has spiritual implications. happens because you are a spiritual being, and to access higher spiritual faculties, you need a sacred, clean vehicle, which is your body. And that's what I see most of humanity is missing. They're trying to manifest, they're trying to do all these things mentally, emotionally, but they're missing your body comes first, and then everything else comes after. So hopefully that makes sense.
No, it totally does. I mean, sticking on the same topic of water now, you said that, if you get these bottles that are available in stores, packaged water, even though it's mountain water, it's still bioelectrically dead water, right? And the challenge is that we can't just, living in the cities that we do, we can't just, rush to the stream or to the river and sip water, which is the best. Like you said, it's full of ions and life force energy because it's moving, it's continuously moving, it's going through, across, over and under the rocks, and it's charging with energy. And the brain needs that kind of water, right, for the electrostatic balance like you've spoken about. So what's the solution then? I mean, what does a person do in order to get that type of water without compromising,
Yeah, so number one, what I recommend is try to find a local spring. Like I was living in Arizona, and there was a place called Sedona in Arizona, and I used to take a monthly trip to go fill out 5-gallon glass jugs of water coming from the Oak Creek Canyon there. And so for me, number one you can do is find a local spring that actually is emitting natural water. Number two, what you can do is buy glass bottled water. I know it's more expensive, but for me, that's what I do because I'm in the United States. I don't have too many sources of clean, pure water where I can go fill up. So I buy glass bottled water, and then the third thing I do with my water is I structure it. I have this little tool that's a water vortexer that it double vortexes the water and it activates the water. So when you ingest this water, you can feel something going on. You can feel the difference between running this water through the vortexer and just having regular water. So for me, I do a number of things to my water. So I'll vortex it, and then I'll add electrolytes, or the simplest thing that people can do is actually start putting a pinch of pink Himalayan salt in your water. That will structure it a little bit. It's very low cost. It's a cost-effective way of adding some electrolytes, but also adding some life force because the electrolytes are high vibe minerals, okay, and trace elements. So I would recommend, if you really want to start simply and cost-effectively, then a little pinch of pink Himalayan salt in your glass and twirl it around. Make sure it dissolves, or you can leave it overnight and just keep twirling your bottle or glass and then drink that, and you'll see that you'll feel a difference. Now, everyone's different, so so there is no one magical thing that happens to everybody, but I've seen miracles happen with many people just by doing that one practice. They went from having low energy to all of a sudden, oh my God, I feel energized. I'm like, yeah, because now your water is actually full of minerals the way it's supposed to be, and it's a bioactive, it's alive, it has life force. So yeah.
Great. Those are some really actionable recommendations, and I'm sure many of our listeners are going to take action. Haven't heard about the water vortexer before. I'm going to look it up as soon as we get done with this interview. Now, you've spoken about ancient Chinese medicine a couple of minutes back, but could you talk about the 5 elements and what they mean for our energy levels and health?
Well, everything in the planet and in the universe is made up of the 5 elements: air, earth, water, metal. And then the last one people miss is called ether. And so what is ether? And some people call it ether, but it's basically, let's call it spirit, essence, life force, energy. Yeah. And so in the way the Asians structure their life, they know that these 5 elements, if you incorporate these elements into any area of your life, you now have at least balance and your life's going to flow. So if you go structure a meal, in Asian teachings, they structure a meal based on the 5 elements, not, well, I'm hungry and I just want to fill my plate so I can fill my belly. That's not the way they roll. The way they roll is, okay, I'm going to make this meal and let me incorporate the fire element and the air element and the ether element. And so that's the way I usually try to live my life but for me, it's more intuitive. I'm not trying to follow like a fanatical approach. It's just that intuitively, I know my body and my being require certain things. So I intuitively guide myself to input those things. So, people say, well, how do you input ether? How do you input this spiritual aspect? Well, you can actually connect with Mother Earth and ground yourself. That's why people love being at the beach, because it's one of the easiest ways to ground. You feel grounded. You feel connected to a life force source. So go out in nature. Go sit on a rock. Go sit at the beach. Go hug a tree and take in life force energy from Mother Earth. That is the easiest way to input spirit or essence or life force into your life and into your being. The other aspects, the air, earth, and water, the earth elements are, compounds from the earth that are in the roots, root foods and elements, okay, herbal elements that are drawing nutrients from the roots. And then the air element is, what I call, let's do more conscious breathing. People are not breathing properly. They're just breathing because they're zipping and they're not really focusing on their breath. And because of that, they're not inputting enough of other elements, because people think it's just oxygen you're breathing in. Oh, no, there's actually life force and consciousness you're breathing in, my friend. This is what most people are missing. When you breathe consciously and you would consciously intend to breathe in, you can breathe in frequencies, you can breathe in colors, you can breathe in the sun. But you need to change your mindset, because we've all been programmed on this planet. We've been programmed for limitation. We've been programmed with philosophies that sometimes might not serve us. What I'm here to say is these are natural principles that I'm teaching. All you have to do is try it and let it prove itself. I'm not here to tell you you have to believe me. I'm here to go try it and go start connecting with Mother Earth. Do some conscious breathing and watch what happens to your life. You don't have to do these laborious practices that are being taught out there. Here in the West, we have the personal development industry, and it's a big money maker. It's one of the most profitable industries. But I'm here to say is you don't have to spend all that money and do all these laborious practices every day. All you have to do is connect with yourself and connect yourself with planet and align to your truth and your passion and go out and live a juicy, delicious life.
No, I think you raised a really amazing point here, which is the difference between passive breathing and active breathing, right? A lot of people tend to go upon their daily lives assuming that they're breathing, but they're not really feeling it. They're not really taking in the life force energy within and giving it outside in a very meaningful and intentional way. And I used to think about breathing in the same way, right? When you breathe, you're just taking in oxygen, right? You're just taking in the oxygen that the body needs, and sort of not thinking about the prana or the chi force that comes into our body. Until I did pranayam, breathing exercises, and fire breathing as well, that it's widely known in the West. But once I did, over a period of time, it became second nature to me to breathe that deep, rich air. And then it became conscious to me that there were two components, not just the oxygen, but also the prana that was coming into my body as my body became more sensitized. I guess I can put it this way, sensitized through the life force that is going up and down my body. So really, really valid points, and thanks for sharing. Now, I'm really glad that you spoke about the topic of food, because like you mentioned, the food that we eat can either sustain us or deplete our energies. And quite frankly, I find it a bit hard to consistently make a healthy home-cooked meal. I'm trying it out these days. I've got a slow cooker, and I'm seeing all these recipes online on YouTube and things like that. But that's one of my weaknesses that I want to overcome. How do you go about managing your nutritional intake?
Well, this is one of my specialties. Okay, I actually had a restaurant. Okay, and
nice.
I'm a natural chef. Like, I'm a holistic chef, but I never took culinary classes because I'm more intuitive. I like to roll in the moment. And what I've done is I've created actually a recipe book called Fun Food Fantastic, and it's based on the recipes I had in my restaurant. And the main thing for me is why people cannot stick with a certain dietary approach or nutrition approach, and why they just are kind of turned off of preparing their meals is because it's not appealing to your taste buds.
Yeah, true.
If it's appealing to your taste buds, you're going to stick with it. And not only that, it's going to inspire you to want to stick with it. So that what I have experienced personally at my restaurant, and when I make something, when I touch food, magical things happen. When I was at the restaurant, I had people waiting an hour for me while I was finishing up my orders, because they had to talk to me, because they didn't understand. There's not much going on. Like they didn't understand how I was only using a few ingredients, yet the food tasted so amazing. And I was like, wow, I'm using pure ingredients, but I'm also adding love and passion into this, okay? Because love is actually an ingredient that changes the vibration of food. But for me, it's if it appeals to your taste buds, you're going to be more motivated to prepare your meals and stick with it. And so that's what I've done is I've created recipes that knock people's socks off to the point where they are like, I'm making this, and I'm making it ongoing from here on out. I'm taking more responsibility for my health. I'm actually going to make these recipes, because what I see out there is, I know people mean well, but a lot of healthy recipes, if we're honest, are pretty bland and boring and kind of like blah. Okay, so for me, I don't do bland and boring. I do extravagant, exotic. I want my taste buds to be knocked off. I want their socks to be knocked off, because I feel we should enjoy ourselves, while keeping it healthy. So I've transformed nutrition to be fun, delicious, and healthy, and I do it in a creative way. And, the results, again, speak for themselves. But I think if people can just learn how to prepare food and nutrition in a more fun, creative way while it being healthy, I think people will stick with it. I know I've had tremendous feedback and results with people because they're like, oh, I can do this. And I keep it very simple. So it's not something that you got to sit for 2 hours and cook a gourmet meal. These are quick recipes for whether it's snacks and desserts and treats and dinners and breakfasts. But I just put a very creative spin that kind of incorporates what we were talking about earlier, the 5 elements. And usually it's like people can feel that. When you incorporate 5 elements in nutrition, your body does something differently than if you just eat, one lump of this and one lump of that. Your body needs the 5 elements. And if you give your body that, your body, what I call, blings out. It radiates. You're radiant like a sun. And so that's where I draw from.
Got it. So diving deeper on the same topic, what should an ideal daily meal consist of? Let's say we're talking about breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, okay, so here is where I think most of humanity needs to take more responsibility to use their intuition and body wisdom. Because what I'm about to say, there's going to be a lot of people who disagree. We are all unique genetically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We are also different and unique in race. Okay, you are of a different race than I am. Your body is going to require different constituents than mine. You are also impacted by your ancestors. What most people don't know is you have to follow what your ancestors were doing because those genetic predispositions were passed on to you. So if they were eating a certain, nutrition intake, chances are that you're going to have to honor that because those genes have been passed on to you, which is going to suit them. So for me, there is no one magic diet. There is no one magic way. You have to listen to your body and see what it wants. Because for me, I'm a high vibe guy. And oh my God, I could put down 300 grams of fat per day. Okay. And my body will use it. Now, somebody else, their body system's a little different. Their genetics are different. They might not need as much. Actually, they only need maybe half as much. They actually need more protein than I do. I need more fat. They need more protein. So for me, I recommend to people is explore and see and take note of how you feel after you're done eating, because that will be your clue if something serves you well. So for some people, sugars, no big deal. The body processes it, no big deal. Another person, they have sugar and they just get all whacked out. So for me, I'm not here to teach a fanatical box like most of what's being taught. I'm here to say, I have creative recipes, try them and see if they serve you well. But the rest is up to you because it's your body, it's your life, and I can't possibly tell you what's best. But for me, I always say, obviously, choose forms of food in their more natural forms. If you find something that's in a box or in a can, well, it's further removed from nature. It's not going to be as healthy as something that where you just take it out of the garden and you prepare it fresh. Does that make sense? So let's use a higher consciousness. Let's use more natural forms of food and nutrition, and let's do away with the processed foods. A main point I do want to bring up, which I think I don't know if it applies to your side of the planet, but in the West here, we have what's called GMO food. And most of the food supply at this point in the game is either GMO or hybridized, meaning that it's been altered from its heirloom state. And most people think that organic, in the West here, there's this thing called organic. Well, I'm here to say that even organic is not heirloom anymore. It's actually been altered. Most people are not aware of that, but we need to start taking more power. We need to start either growing our own food or connecting with people who are doing the pure source form of foods, of produce, of vegetables, because this society has gotten too convenient, and now we have big, huge farms producing most of the food, but that is not an ideal solution because most of those farms are not using pure heirloom seedlings, nor are they taking care of their soils properly. So for me, we need to start, again, go back to basics. We need heirloom pure stuff from nature, not from something that was created in a laboratory. So I don't know, hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that gives you an idea of at least what's going on in the West. I don't know about on your side of the planet. So
my side of the planet is north right now because I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Oh, Okay.
Yeah, but no, totally get your point. There is no one size fits all approach to dieting. I mean, it really depends on your genes. It depends on your history. It depends on what type of food that you need and what you're used to. So there's a lot of testing involved. There's a lot of intuition involved, and I really like that approach. So in your case, what is your daily meal consist of? Like, what are you having for breakfast, lunch, and dinner today?
Well, I roll with intuition. It's always something different. I make anywhere from I'll literally have something with raw milk or raw eggs. Like I'll make like my own what I call my mystic smoothie. That's one of my recipes. It's a mystic smoothie because most smoothies it's just a mishmash of fruit and stuff put in there with a little protein. For me, I balance it again, bringing in all the elements. I bring in a lot of fat, a lot of protein. I bring in all the 5 elements, and I call it the mystic smoothie. And so it's not only healthy, but it's yummy. And everybody I've ever sampled that to is just like, wow. And so they want to then go home and make it. So that's what I do. So I call it a mystic smoothie, or I'll have depending on if I'm traveling or not, I'll have a smaller breakfast. I'll have quinoa with some cashew butter, with some goat milk, with some toppings of like goji berries. But it's just very creative, fun, and rich foods. So because my body needs sustenance, I can't subsist on starches and bland foods. My body just is like, I want the goodies. So yeah.
Love that. And what about lunch and dinner?
Lunch, let's see. I don't know. I'll have some gluten-free bread I'll have gluten-free bread. I'll make like kind of like a frittata, an Italian-style frittata, gluten-free bread with some cheese. And I always recommend to people is always have half of your plate vegetables. So it's either steamed vegetables or raw, salad, whatever. But you got to balance out all the dense, hard proteins with the vegetables. The vegetables keep you regular, and they push things through, and they will help keep you alkalized. But I see people, especially in the West here, they big portions of meat, a lot of starches, and then small little handful of vegetables. That's not going to be too healthy in the long run. You need vegetables. So half of your plate, and then the other half of your plate gets some protein and a complex carbohydrate like wild rice, quinoa, sweet potato. But I always balance, I always bring in the color and the balance of the 5 elements. Yeah.
Wonderful. So a combination of complex carbohydrates, some protein, as well as some vegetables. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure.
Got it. So what are your thoughts on detoxing the body? Why should somebody consider doing something like this?
Oh, wow. Okay, so yes, for sure. Especially nowadays on this planet, yes, detox. The problem is there's too much hype and gimmicks with a lot of these detox kits out there. You know what I'm talking about. There's like 3 day, 5 day. Okay, I'm sorry, but you can't cleanse the body in 3 to 4 or 5 days. It doesn't work that way. And the ingredients that are in those capsules, just not enough to do the job. So there's just not enough actual substance. I think the whole supplement industry needs to be reformatted for sure we need supplements, but we need the right ones. And most of the supplements out there, from what I've experienced, aren't worth even spending $1 on because it's just a mishmash of ingredients, number one. Number two, a lot of companies are using either contaminated ingredients or they're contaminating the ingredients when they run them through their machines because they have to run them through machines, and yet they have to clean those machines out every once in a while. And what do you think they use? They use chemicals. They use chemicals to run through their machine to clean them out, and then when they run the new batch, you got chemical residue in a lot of supplements. So for me, again, I go back to basics. If you want to cleanse your body, you got to start out with structured water because structured water will help everything else you do for health work millions of times better. So when you have hydration going into your cells, then your body can purge. But if you're drinking plastic bottled water, that's not going to happen. So a lot of people are congested with plastic residues. They're congested with, the byproducts of the food supply. Like there's hormones in most meat. There's hormones in a lot of dairy. Unless you're getting grass-fed or organic, people are congested with a lot of stuff. So number one, yes, detox. Got to start with structured water. Then you take the products that are known to really cleanse the body. I have a number of them. It's going to take me too much time to really go in and explain it. But on my website, I kind of have that approach. I teach people how to do that with my coaching. But I also have in my one Body Brilliance 30-day holistic health challenge, I give people my 5 homemade detox remedies that are low cost. that most people have these ingredients in their home, and they just don't know how to put them together to create a super detoxifier, and they work better than any kit out there. So save your money. I can show you how to do it very cost effectively and very easily, and with results that you're going to be happy about. But the results speak for themselves. It's not about me, pitching you a thing. It's here to say you need to learn how to cleanse your body in a very cost-effective way. Otherwise, you're going to spend tons of money and not much is going to happen. That's what I've seen. Years ago, I did it myself and spent all this money. And it's like, well, and it wasn't until I started really getting grounded and learning and exploring, experiencing, and going, aha, I got it now. This can be much easier than the approach I was using before. So yeah, so definitely detox. Most people could use it. There's stuff in the air. Our food is altered. I mean, come on, we need to really we need to start raising our voices because there's a lot of funny stuff going on out there. I think you understand what I'm talking about. There's a lot of stuff going on with the food supply and the water supply. We need to go back to basics or it's not going to be too pretty for most of humans. And that's why we have epidemics. We have epidemics because people are not supplying their body with the base element nutrients and the base element hydration for the body to do its thing. There's no mystery why there's epidemics. Most people think it's a mystery. Why does that person have that condition? Well, look at our society, look at our food supply, look at our water supply. There's your answer. We don't have to go further than that. So
thanks a lot for sharing that. You mentioned that these detoxes that are available, right? The 7-day detox, the 5-day detox. It takes typically longer for properly detoxing the body. So how long on average, does your version of detox last, like in terms of a time frame?
Well, again, everyone's unique. One person within, a month and a half, they could do a very good job of cleaning their body out. For another person, it might take them longer because they've really let their body go, and they're congested with parasites, heavy metals. They're congested with calcium deposits. There's all sorts of things that people's bodies hold on to. The deal is you have to find that right mix sometimes. So for me, I go back to foundation, hydration number one, because if you have the hydration, your body's being hydrated. Now you can purge the body. The water is also an expeller and a natural detoxifier, but you need to have it be structured. It needs to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be infused with life force because it's that energetics that actually cleanses the body. It's not just the physical molecules. You need the energetics. That's what the Asian cultures always knew. They talk about chi, and Hawaiians talk about mana, and in East India they talk about prana. They know that that's the holy grail. That's what makes everything go. That's what drives everything. It's the holy grail, life force, mana, chi, call it what you want. But it's a driving mechanism to make everything function. It runs your brain. It runs your consciousness. So for me, again, let's go back to basics and let's use a cost-effective approach because you don't want to be spending hundreds. I've seen people spend hundreds of dollars on these kits, and it's like, well, you're still not looking that good, and you still didn't get much results. So for me, let's go back to foundational principles, and let's get a person radiating because it benefits society when a person's radiant. And, you walk into a room and you're fit, healthy, and radiant, you're going to make an impact without saying a word. So
yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's the goal, radiant health, so that when somebody walks in, their aura is felt, that their positivity is felt by everyone, and everyone looks around and sort of maybe asks you a question, what have you been doing, especially those who have known you for many years and have seen you after a couple of months or maybe years as well. Now, a while back, you conducted what is called a holistic health challenge. Is that correct? Is that still available?
Yeah, I just put it together as a complete health system. So it's on my website, and now people can download it. And so it's a 30-day holistic health challenge. And basically you get one video each day. And I walk people down a holistic pathway of how to start creating a foundation of how to create radiant health, how to live a delicious, victorious life. Because most people, they have some principles, but they don't know how to apply it, or they're too busy, or they don't have to hold them accountable. They don't have accountability. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people, they start off with, trying to lose weight or trying to eat healthier. And then 3 weeks out, guess what happens? Their programs and their addictions come back into play, and they win out. And the person winds up going back to eating grunge, unhealthy stuff and being pulled off. So for me, I've created this 30-day challenge to purposely take people by the hand and walk them day by day by day. And within 30 days, your life is going to transform. And if it doesn't, well, then you might have some deeper spiritual, mental, emotional stuff going on. But for me, I've already sampled this out, and people literally, I've had one woman just try one recommendation, and she said overnight her health condition changed because I gave her a secret of how of something to do before bed and when you wake up. And this is and she did it, and she didn't even follow the rest because she's too busy, and she just didn't have the gumption to do it. But she followed one thing. Her health condition shifted overnight, and I said that's what happens when you give the body what it requires. And most people, they're doing things that are actually pulling their health down. Most people are taking supplements, but they don't know that those supplements can actually be more of a pollutant to your body than actually uplifting you. Same thing with the water. People are drinking all these vitamin waters and all these gimmicks, pH waters. Those things are not doing what they're claiming. They're actually doing the opposite. Why? Because they're in plastic and they have plastic residues, and most of those nutrients are synthetic, and the pH of these pH waters, the second you open up the cap, go test it. It's going to be back down. The pH is going to be down, and the pH isn't the most important part anyway. It's the life force. It's the ions. It's the life force. It's the it's the charge. It's the pop that comes with the water is the most important, not the pH. And so, see, a lot of people are misinformed. So I'm here to set the record straight. Go, whoa, slow down, save your money. Here's a much more cost-effective way. Here's an easier way. Here's a better way, and check it out. And the results I get are literally magical. So
thanks a lot for sharing. Rino, based on what we've discussed today, what is that one action step that you'd like to recommend for our listeners?
Okay, this planet needs our help right now. And if you want to help humanity and help yourself, the greatest thing you can do is show up in your full glory. Now, you need to create a balanced, structured life. I know life can, it comes at you and you're zipping, you got to go out. But there are simple principles and practices you can do every day that will squash any of these other more expensive modalities that are being taught out there. So number one, go sit in nature 3 to 5 days a week. Go sit somewhere. Go sit on your butt on a rock. Go sit in the beach. Go hug a tree. Get in nature and connect with Mother Earth, because that is one of the greatest therapies on planet Earth, and it's free. But the problem I see is people don't have the time, or they just don't know about it. So for me, you got to get grounded. It's the greatest energizer of your body. It will relieve most of your emotional issues, by the way, if you just connect with the earth. Number two, got to go back to basics. You need structured water. Most people are like, well, I drink enough. No, it doesn't matter how much you drink. You need to drink water that's charged, that has life force energy. It's as simple as I can get. Life force in water makes it more absorbable and makes it more of a detoxifier, and it will actually hydrate your brain. You will have more mental clarity. You'll have more balance in your life. Okay, so for me, let's do the simple things. Forget all these other more laborious practices. Let's get back to basics. So grounding, structure water, deep breathing, conscious breathing. Let's do conscious breathing and bring in, a much richer form of air. I call it, you're breathing in consciousness when you do conscious breathing. You're bringing in life force. And so let's do these things. They're simple and free. And so instead of spending our money on all these, more elaborate, things that I don't see the results. Where is it? Where's the proof? That's what I tell people when I teach health. I go, we have more health information available than ever before, and yet we have the most amount of unhealthy, unwell, overweight people than ever before. So we might want to start questioning what's being taught out there as healthy. Okay, so for me, foundational, sink in with your true self, command your true self to give you inspiration, to give you strength. But let's go back to the basics, and you need to align. You got to align with the planet. You got to input clean hydration. You got to input clean nutrition, and that takes some time to adjust to. I know, and that's why I created my 30-day challenge, because one day, every day for 30 days, you get a video plus supplemental downloads that make it very easy, so you're supported. And if you ever require my help, I'm there. I'm just an email away. And if you really need to do a call, I will be willing to do an online call. So the 30-day challenge I made purposely to make it easy, because I can't coach someone and be there for 30 days. It's way too expensive for them. So I created this challenge for most people because they're zipping, they're busy, and this is very quickly. Every day you get a video. It's less than 5 minutes. It's very powerful what you learn. And then you do some homework, you do some to-do lists, and you apply what I taught and watch what happens. So for me, let's go back to basics. Let's get grounded, and let's help this planet out, because it sure needs our help right now, because a lot of people are lost. A lot of people are hurting, and you showing up in your full glory in a room, you give other people permission to do the same. You're going to see heads turning if you show up in a room in your full glory. That person's going to look at you and go, I want that.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Rino. Action Tribe, to access the show notes for today's episode, visit my7chakras.com/214. That's my7chakras.com/214. And before moving on, let's listen to a word from our sponsor, Gaia.com. Explore the vast traditions of yoga with the Gaia original series Yogic Paths. Filmed across India, the 13-episode series captures the beauty of mystical Indian landscapes and never-before-seen ashrams while taking the viewer on a journey through the many traditions of yoga. While the practice of physical postures called asanas is most well-known in the West, understanding the full scope of this rich and varied tradition gives meaning and power to the yoga that we know today. Action Tribe, since you're listening to this show, it's clear that you are interested in topics such as chakras, yoga, and self-realization, and you know exactly where to go for audio content and interviews. And I sure hope you feel this way about our show, My 7 Chakras. But where do you go if you want a streaming TV video service with the same values and similar content? The answer is Gaia.com. To start watching this show, The Yogic Paths, as well as get your first month at Gaia for just 99 cents, visit Gaia.com/My 7 Chakras. That's GAIA.com/My SEVENCHAKRAS. Optimists enrich the present, enhance the future, challenge the improbable, and attain the impossible. This is an amazing quote by William Arthur Ward. Action Taker, let me ask you this question. Are you an optimist? An optimist is someone who is always hopeful and confident about the future. Because if you are, then be assured that the solution you are looking for is coming your way. An optimist is a game changer. An optimist is an asset to a team, a community, or a family. And when everything is dark, when there is no hope, when things look bleak, just the energy of the optimist can make everyone feel strong once again. As we're learning, when you enter a room, an optimist can change things for everyone. And in most cases, this leads to attaining the impossible. So my question to you, do you have the light of optimism within you? So Rino, could you talk to us about a phase in your life during which you went through a major life challenge? How did you get into it? And then what steps did you take to handle it and overcome it?
Well, yeah, I guess it would be the period that I had health challenges. It's funny because I've always been into health, but I had some health challenges and not feeling right. And I worked out 4 or 5 days a week. I ate typically pretty well my whole life. I grew up in an Italian family on garden vegetables and homemade pastas and pizzas, and everything was homemade cheese, homemade everything. But yet I arrived at a point in life I did not feel right. Something was off. And long story short, turns out that I was not processing my emotions. I had emotional issues. I had mental issues that, I wasn't dealing with, and kind of stuffing my emotions. And that eventually, weakened my body. And I was hurting for quite a while. And I had two choices. I could, basically give up, turn over and give up and say, see you later, or I could take measures into my own hands, and I chose to empower myself, and I said, I'm not going to stand for this. So I sought answers, and I went out and seeking how do I process this? How do I heal myself emotionally, mentally? And in that journey, I discovered a lot of things that not only help myself to heal and completely balance my life out, but I now have principles and foundational core life habits and practices that can transform other people's lives. So I'm here to just be a model to say, hey, I know your life might be rough right now, but you're going to get challenged and you're going to want to give up. You're going to want to just roll over and keel over, but you have an opportunity to go so much higher. You use this as an opportunity to catapult you. You need to take responsibility. You need to take your power, but you need to claim it. You need to have a desire to go higher and expand. But you also need to change your consciousness. You need to change the way you're using your consciousness. You need to readjust your life. You need to clear out people out of your life. You need to move somewhere. You need new clothes. I always tell people, if you want to change your life, you got to change the energy. And most people, they want change in their life, but they're not willing to change the energy of their life. They want to continue to do the same habits and hang out with the same people and watch TV and just sit around. No, you got to change your life. You got to change the energy. So if you do things in a certain order, change the order. That alone changes the energy. But who's in your life? Who's the one when you hang out with them, the ones that make you feel drained? time for a detox, a person detox. You got to clear them out. You got to clear anything that is not uplifting to you, and now bring in new energies, bring in new people, new flowers, a new home, a new place, a new career. As you change these energies, your life changes. And it's that easy because you're changing the energy. Change the energy, you change your life. It's that simple, but most people are scared to make the leap. They're scared to let go of their partner. They're scared to move to another country. They're scared to embark upon being an entrepreneur because they fear that they're not going to have the security of a job. Well, if you want to expand, you're going to have to be in your uncomfort zone. I'm sorry to have to tell you that, because change is not going to come easy, and it's not going to feel pretty most of the time. It's when you're in your uncomfort zone, that's when miracles show up. That's when you're going to see the universe go, oh, okay. And that's when you see the reflection of what comes into your life change. But you got to change the energy, and you can start with your body. I always tell people, start with the number one thing you can control, which is very easy. Start off with your health. If it's just even going power walking 2 or 3 days a week, start off with that. If you've been sedentary for decades, time to move your body, time to change your friends. What about your friends? Are they uplifting, or do you feel drained afterwards? Most people have friends that drain them to the point where they're just like, so what are you doing to yourself? Why are you allowing that in your life? You need to stand for a higher calling. You need to stand for a higher value of yourself. So that means you got to make the decision, because other people are not just going to remove themselves from your life. You need to do it. You need to take your power and clear out everyone and anything that is not uplifting to you. Otherwise, you're going to continue to experience lack, limitation, and struggle. Your choice. I'm here to teach people to live victoriously, and I'm inviting you, and along with millions, I'm inviting you to a higher dimension of health and wellness. I'm also inviting you to a much richer and more delicious and victorious life. It's your choice if you want to join in. I know where I'm going. And if you want to join in, let's go. Let's connect and let's go higher, baby.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing that with us, Rino. As you look back at your life, as you look at the memories that you've had, in just one sentence, what is that one major life lesson that you'd like to share with our action takers?
I would say you are valuable. You have value. Okay, you have accepted other people's opinions and beliefs about you your whole life, your parents, society. It's time that you dig deep and allow your true self to shine through. You have value. You are valuable. You have assets that can contribute to this planet. You need to change your own perspective of yourself. It doesn't matter what others think of you. It only matters what you think of you. And you can impact many people. Like I said it before, you walk into a room in your full glory, people are going to notice, and they're going to go, wow. I do it all the time, and I'm not even doing anything. I just walk in, I show up, I'm present, and I'm pretty healthy looking too, yes. But I mean, I'm taking actions to create that. It doesn't come by itself, okay? But the deal is everyone is valuable. You are the one you've been looking for. Stop looking outside yourself, because the answers aren't outside. It's within. But you need to sit and be present with yourself to hear that voice, because your mind is a chatterbox. Your mind is actually going to be an impediment to your evolution. You need to disassociate yourself with too much mental processing. You need to connect with Mother Earth. That's the easiest way to get in alignment with your truth and who you truly are in nature. And you'll see that the mind will not be chattering, and you'll hear a higher voice coming through. The mind is actually an over rambunctious. It's like a monkey that's just crazy. It's been overused, and because of that, it's taken a life form of its own. We need to stop using the mind so much and come back to our spirits and hearts. That's where the power is. That's where the nectar is of life, and that's where you'll find all your solutions in yourself and your heart.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing, Rino. That was just one sentence. But really appreciate it. We'll add that to the show notes. Action Tribe, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We're having a lot of fun here. We're having a lot of learning, and I'm sure you're taking down some notes as well that you can execute in your life, some ideas that you can apply in your life in terms of the food that you need to eat, in terms of the type of water that you need to drink, and in terms of the people that you must hang out with. The goal of our show is twofold. On one hand, I chat with healers, experts, and visionaries like today to try to understand how the world around us works and make sense of some of the mystery that is around us and also within us. On the other hand, I also chat with them about the mysteries and phenomena that exist for which we have no answers yet. Mysteries that work on a certain scientific principle that probably hasn't been discovered yet. And as we're learning, the ancient Chinese scientists, philosophers, Taoists recognized many mysteries in the universe, and instead of finding out the root cause for these mysteries, these mysterious energies within us, they just let it be. They didn't try to rationalize it, but instead respected those mysteries with a sense of wonder and amazement. Because the truth is, Action Tribe, we are but a tiny speck within the entire expanse of the universe, and no matter how much we try, a lot of it will still remain a mystery. Because as Carlos Castaneda once said, the world is all that is encased here. Life, death, people, and everything else that surrounds us, the world is incomprehensible. We won't ever understand it. We won't ever unravel its secrets. Thus, we must treat the world as it is, a sheer mystery. So Rino, as on today, what is your life's calling?
Well, I'm here to inspire millions of people to want to create a radiant body and a victorious life. That's my mission. I'm here to be that model, and but I'm also here to catalyze people and say, hey, this is, here's a pathway. I'm here to, but I steer people back to themselves, because that's the only true direction. I'm not here to teach a paradigm. I'm not here to teach my way. I'm here just to be a motivating catalyst to say, hey, you can have some of this too. And I point people back to themselves, because that's the only truth that you're going to find anyway. Anytime you seek outside yourself, well, you might be subjected to ramifications that are probably not to your highest calling. So for me, everyone's got it. We're there. We don't need healing. We don't need all these modalities. We just need to be present and focus on our heart center, because we already are the diamonds. We are the shining suns. And the thing that I see is too many people are in victim mode, thinking, I need this heal, I need to heal, I need all these modalities. No, you just need to align with your truth and let that shine through, and just know that you got it already. You're not here to try to add to yourself. You already have it. You just got to remove the imprints that you were imprinted with from your childhood and just let your true self shine. It can be that simple, but usually it's not, because of all this other stuff being thrown at us as information, and you need this and you need that. No, you don't, because you are already there.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing. We have now arrived at the wisdom round, which comprises of 4 questions. It's sort of like a rapid fire round. 4 questions with 4 short but action-packed responses. So what is the best piece of advice that someone has ever given you, if you had to say it in one sentence?
Just to trust myself and go for what my intuition says. Just trust myself. I got it. I should have no doubt. Just go for what you feel inside your being. Just trust.
Name a personal habit that keeps you going.
One personal habit that keeps me going. I'm just inspired by life and Mother Earth and animals and planets. I'm here to help fuel this planet to a higher dimensional reality, because right now the planet could use our help, and Mother Earth is my main motivating factor.
What is your morning routine like? What do you do during the first 2 hours of your day?
Well, I energize and nutrify my body with, structured water, healthy nutrition, but then I just go out in nature and breathe and connect with animals. I'm on a farm right now, and I'm taking care of chickens and ducks, and I just go take care of them, and it's just funny. They're like little children. They all have their own individual personality, and I just give gratitude that that I have this experience.
So Rino, name a book that you'd like to recommend for our listeners today. Is there one particular book that you definitely recommend?
Even though it's a fiction book, it's called Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman, and it's like almost like a humorous observation of what the mind does to people, how it can actually be a hindrance to your evolution, and how to transcend the mind. Because the mind is, most people, teach about, subconscious mind. That's great. But that book does a fantastic job of bringing to light of the human predicament. We're all subjected to this thing called the mind, and it's this chatterbox. And so the story it takes you on this journey. And by the end, you start looking at your own life going, oh my God, that's so true. Even though it's a fictional book, it's actually based on truth. And it's done in such a marvelous way that you will have a new perspective on your mind, and how you can start kind of disassociating and not giving the mind so much power. Because our power is our consciousness and our hearts and spirits, not the mind. The mind is a different thing than consciousness. Most people equate the two as the same. It's not. Your consciousness is the power vortex. That's where manifestation, all juicy creations come from. The mind is like an overactive monkey that's been it's wild and it's running all over the place. The mind needs to be tamed, and so I created some practices to help people to do that. But the greatest way, again, go out in nature, input clean inputs into your body, and go and live what blisses you out. Surround yourself with people who make you happy. Live in a home where they'll bliss you. That's how you start creating a foundation for a victorious life.
So Action Tribe, I know how much you love our book recommendations, and I know that many of you purchase these books as soon as you hear them shared on our show, and that's why Audible.com is offering Action Tribe one free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial so that you can listen to the book right away and get to check out their amazing service. Now, Audible.com, in case you don't know, has over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, or Kindle, including bestsellers like The Chakra System by Anna Judith, who was on our show, Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, and A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. To download your free audiobook right away, go to audibletrial.com/MSC. Once again, that's audibletrial.com/3 letters MSC for your free audiobook. So Rino, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great chatting with you and learning from your perspective and listening to the stories that you shared with us today. Before you go, tell us one thing that you're grateful for and tell us the best way we can find you online.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be who I am. I mean, what better gift to be appreciative of who you are. I think I wish that more people would feel more valuable for themselves. Like, I wish they would have a higher degree of self-love and self-esteem for themselves. But for me, I'm very grateful to be who I am and what I'm doing to serve the planet. My people can reach me at lifebrilliance.com. That's my new website, lifebrilliance.com. And there's a couple free downloads that people can order there. And there's a bunch of other information with my immersion retreats and then my 30-day body brilliance holistic health challenge there, but I will appreciate any support. I'm here to, again, impact millions of people because this planet really needs our help right now. There's a lot of funny things going on. So as people show up in their full glory, more people are going to have permission to do so, and that's how we're going to change their planet. One person at a time, impacting other people when they walk into a room and giving them permission. And the results are going to be self-explanatory, but we have an opportunity to leave a legacy. I say, let's do it.
Well, let's do it. Rino, thank you so much for coming on our show, talking to us about so many different topics, our nutrition, our energy levels, and how we can make a difference to the world around us, and taking us one step closer to a human revolution.
Well, thank you, AJ. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate this. Pleasure.
You were listening to My 7 Chakras. Go to mysevenchakras.com. Download your free gift, get inspired, and take action. Transform your life today.